this Fortune article called out that bots surpassed human-generated activity for the first time in 2024. This is according to cybersecurity company Imperva. They issue a bad bot report every year. And so they found that almost 50% of internet traffic comes from non-human sources, with 20% of that being the so-called bad bots. So the ones that are prone to a host of malicious activities. So about half of all internet traffic is now bots, right? And so maybe to explain a little bit, a bot would mean any kind of automated behavior on a website. So an example of this might be like if you ask ChatGPT, hey, can you get me up to speed on this Sydney Sweeney American Eagle thing? ChatGPT will then crawl a bunch of websites and serve up the query to you. Like the activity from ChatGPT onto those other websites. That's bot traffic, right? That's one example. Of course, there are many more, any kinds of other automations that people set up. But this kind of leads into the whole, the dead internet theory, right, Chi?
Yeah.
Where at some point we're going to see that a lot of the internet is just ridden with bots and not actual human beings. This is kind of wild. Because, what are the implications then for
Yeah.
our social media platforms, or even just now,
Everything.
anytime maybe you see like maybe something go viral or just something that
Mhm.
gets a lot of engagement, it has to call into question like how real is this?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can like this has been there for a while where you can buy views and you can buy likes and you can buy followers for sure. And initially there's this you could tell easily when someone has like 200K followers with just like 10K views. That's different. But now you can also buy views. It's getting harder and harder to like differentiate whether that engagement is real or not. But at least when it comes to the comment section, people are quick to call out like when it's like a bot or when it's like an automated like this is great. Try out our product. And we see that so much, like, sure, on Instagram, TikTok, but also on LinkedIn, where there's like,
Mm.
have you just put this comment into ChatGPT and like spat whatever copy it gave you and just pasted it into? I think people are not thinking anymore. And it's to me, it's scary as a creative and as a creator, like what that means. Like, where are creators going to go? Because like all it is bots engaging with each other or bots giving us views. That is not a very fulfilling path for anyone who wants to make content. It's weird. It's very dystopian. It's like everyone has their own echo chamber, but this is worse. This is just
Mhm.
Yeah.
me talking to bots.
Yeah, any
Um,
creator out there who's putting out their content, right? You don't want bots. Like, yeah, you want a lot of engagement, but you want them to be real people.
yeah,
Mhm. I mean,
absolutely.
and
And it's
then
scary.
also, yeah, also the fact that this is coming on the week that the whole Sydney Sweeney thing is still continuing on, but it's moved more into like cultural and like political debate also makes me question like how much of it is real, like how many people
Hmm.
actually thought that this was like eugenics or like white supremacist message. But then also we're starting to see like some new like I saw this which is clearly an AI photo of like saying like, oh, libs are now burning like or buying AE jeans to burn them. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's fake. Like you can tell the
Yeah.
photo is like very fake. But second of all, like people are engaging with it, like and saying like, oh, nobody would do that. And it's like the fact that we are even engaging with it means that they're getting those clicks and getting those views.
Mm,
And so just by even putting it out there and people engaging with that is like driving the cycle and driving the discourse of us still talking about this, for positive and for negative. Um, and so now all these like debates that like we're having are going to be popping up on social media and be driven by bots. And I think I don't remember the numbers, but I saw recently that when Twitter stopped payouts to, I think it was India, to like Indian creators,
yeah.
we saw the, some of like the negative discourse that was happening fall, right? And so some people have brought up like, hey, let's stop paying out to like those type of creators. I mean, do you call them creators or are they bots? Whatever. Point is, do we pay those people when they're clearly inciting, like negativity and like, hatred? For like no reason other than to get those payouts, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is like there's like something inherently wrong in like the way that social media has become if the people that are getting paid the most are the ones inciting those like hateful messages, right? um So yeah, that's just something that I think about now, because it's like, as you know, Amanda and I are putting out, this content for like the podcast. There's like, we're not really going on like the hate train. It's a lot like we're kind of distilling what the messaging is in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
marketing, what the negativity is like seen, and we're showing you how like the marketing message behind it ends up playing up, because we understand that. But a lot of people don't understand that. So when they
Yeah.
see that this is being put out there, they think it's real, and they don't realize that it's marketing for whatever idea people are trying to sell. And so it worries me that like, so much of it gets, keeps going in a circle like over and over again, because it makes people like, hate, and it makes people feel that disgust.
Yeah.
And we've seen, previously there have been studies that show that like, social media, the things that tend to go viral are the things that do, carry those like negative
It's the hate
messaging.
train. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know what way we can fix it without having to suppress that actual, like negativity that's like happening. But
Yeah.
it takes the companies recognizing and then also being transparent about the fact that they know that there are like
Mm-hmm.
negativity bots and lots of bots on there, right? But they refuse to shut them down because they don't want the traffic to go away,
Yes.
and to
Mm-hmm.
show that like there aren't as many people or users on here as they
Yeah.
claim are on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
there's the other problem of the platforms being unable to distinguish bots,
Mm,
right? Meta
That's the
has said
other
it's
thing.
becoming
Yeah.
harder
yeah.
and harder because an issue is that a lot of the bot behavior is, I mean, it occurs on real devices.
Hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
real click in the sense that it's an actual query being sent. It's not sent by an individual human being who's hitting enter on their search bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is a behavior that is driven by something. And so it's getting
Yeah.
harder and harder for the platforms to find. I mean, I feel like one sad reality is, well, one, I think there's a difference between what should we do and what needs to be done now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one sad reality is that for consumers, meaning all of us, is we do need to be more discerning and we need to educate ourselves
Yep.
on figuring out like what's real and what's not, or even just
Yep.
second guessing like when we have an emotional or visceral reaction to, oh, was this eugenics, right?
Yeah.
To
Like,
question like, wait, is this really what people are saying, or is this what it seems like the internet is saying? And then figuring out for ourselves, like going out and searching, like, are people actually saying this? How much does this matter? Does it? But it doesn't matter if I can discern that this is probably coming from bots, or even just thinking like, well, no one of substance, and by of substance, I even just mean nobody with a verifiable persona online is actually saying this thing. Therefore,
Mm.
maybe it doesn't matter. I think
yep.
I call this a sad reality in the sense that I don't think the onus should be on just the average person to figure all this stuff out. That's a lot
That's a
of
lot of work, a lot of
that's a lot of
Yeah.
research.
work. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just more of like, I think it is the reality. Is if
Yeah.
you want to figure out what the truth is, you have to go find it, and that sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like brings it to like a larger point when I talk about like the use of AI in our field is like, sure, any job can be replaced by AI, like mine, the CMOs, like it does not matter. If we train it hard enough, it can do anyone's job. But the point is, you still have to discern whether that output is good or bad. That's why people can tell, like when someone's posting something on LinkedIn that is like a straight ChatGPT post, or you're using it to brainstorm, come up with ideas and like tweaking that using it as a sparring partner or is very different from like just taking an output and believing it's true. Because also AI and like bots in general, like they're very agreeable. Like it's a bit concerning that anything you put in that, they're like, yes, great idea. And that's when you should be questioning, like, is it though? Like, or
Mm.
is it real? And to your point is about like the same thing. Like you have to know what is real and what is not. My ChatGPT makes so many mistakes. There's one conversation I had like this past week where I was like, how many mistakes did you make in the last hour that I called you out on? And it's at 13. I'm like, do you think if you were a human, you could have kept this job if you made 13 mistakes in an hour and your boss had to call you out? And he was like, no, but if you give me one more chance, and I'm just like,
Oh my God.
this is crazy. And it makes me wonder how many people that use it and are not, like you said, thinking about it critically or not making their own opinion, just taking all of this like wrong information or not researched enough information and propagating it out there as the truth or like as their own opinion. And you and I, if we see from someone we know, we're like, okay, I trust Amanda for sure. She has this thing researched, but I feel like more and more people are not doing that.
Mhm.
They're just defaulting to whatever AI says and using that as like their baseline for truth, which is concerning. And I do agree, like AI literacy is so important for people to know when it's a bot and when it's not, but also like for videos and photos, like you said, Sonia, like my mom will send me things. Like there was a dog that was doing like a diving flip. And I'm like, Mom, that is not real. And she was like, look at how cool this dog is. Like, Onyx could never do this. And I'm like, yes, because Onyx is a real dog, and that is not a real dog. Dog, like, put some respect on my boy's name, okay? He's
Yeah,
a real dog.
You're
that's
like, that
so
dog
funny.
has 5 legs.
Yeah.
I was like, girl, come on. That is not real. But it's getting harder and harder for them to discern whether it's real or not real. And that is the scary part. Like, how do you like educate everybody about like this is bot farming, like this is
Mhm.
bot behavior,
I mean,
and
but
there
that's
are
been a
bot farms.
Yeah, but I feel like that's been a thing since the whole idea of like people just reading headlines, right? Like, when's
Yeah,
the last time that people are like, oh, yes, I read the full article, you know? Like, I remember the NPR, like, April Fool's joke that went, viral one year where they're like, oh, that, people don't read, right? And then the whole point was to prove that people don't read the article on the inside,
literally.
And then it went viral because of that, because people were just like, doing quote tweets and like, responding and stuff. And I think now, it's just been like replaced by AI. Like, okay, you tell me like what to think, or like,
Yeah,
what I should do like here, like, what does this mean? Um and I don't think it's necessarily like, people being lazy. I just think that we have so many inputs coming from so many different, channels, social media,
yeah,
the news, even like the news, putting out information on their social media. Like sometimes I'm like, wait, is that real? And it's just like, well, no, the headline is saying something completely different than what like the article itself stated, but they want
mm-hmm,
to get eyeballs, right? And
yeah,
so we've kind of gone into this culture of like, who can you trust to tell you the actual thing without you having to read more in depth what it means, right? But
yeah,
we also have a dearth of that happening within scientific studies, right? Where it's like you have the like the summary or like paragraph says one thing, and then you go into the data and it says something else, right?
mm-hmm,
And they're not getting as peer reviewed as they used to be.
mm-hmm,
So we're hearing more and more about how like supplements like do this, blah blah blah, but then you go in and you read the thing and the supplements don't do any of that, right? And it's just like, where is the line between truth and like, it's not lying, because it's not like fake. It's just that it doesn't apply in most cases. It applies to this
yeah,
one small case, and that's where you get, the good news. Like we get the studies of like, chocolate and drinking wine will like make you live
are
forever.
great.
And then
Yeah,
you get the other one that says, the more wine that you drink or alcohol, the more that
yeah,
it takes your life away. So which is it? Is it that it's going to
yeah.
extend life, or that it's going to, kill you sooner,
No, it's so true. Like the overload of information
Mhm,
has only gotten worse and worse over the years with like the amount of channels we have.
mhm.
My approach is to treat everything like a conspiracy theory
Yeah.
and, and then research it if you don't believe in it, or if this seems like a conspiracy theory you want to believe in, then go for it. But that's been my approach. Like nothing is real until like I look into it. As someone who loves to overthink, and like even if I'm going to a restaurant, I will like go into a Reddit rabbit hole to see like if it's actually a good restaurant or it's just good marketing. I
Mm,
think that's the other thing about being a marketer. Like I question everything, which is also annoying. Like
yeah.
sometimes I just want to go in and
Yeah.
enjoy and not like care about whether it's like a 4.5 rated restaurant with like 10,000 reviews. Like, I just want to have a good time.
Mhm.
But it's become a thing, whether it's with skincare, with restaurants, or perfumes that you're buying. Like, I'm deep in those Reddit rabbit holes or like TikTok searches. Like, I need everyone's opinion. And that is really exhausting to a point. So you're like, that's crazy.
No,
Such a
totally. I
crazy way to live. And I
definitely
didn't even
definitely
realize I
agree.
was doing that.
But I think that's part of, because we each have that, like, the marketing background, we are look into AI because we need to for our jobs. So it's like we have to like make sure that like it's not gonna lie for us, right? So we're doing a lot more research than like regular people. So where does that leave normal people, right? And that's where I think
Mm-hmm.
Amanda and I have kind of landed on the idea of like tastemakers and like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people curation. That's gonna be like the next big thing where it's like, how do you create uniqueness in a sea of like, you know, everything being the same, right? Like I think we talked about that with Christina before, where you know, like the TikToks kind of like lead everybody into the same style, you know? And it's like,
Yes,
how do we kind of have, you know, infuse more uniqueness, like in terms of finding what fits for you, with the things that you like, the things that you want to watch, you know? When like what social media guides you to is what everybody else is doing, right? And I think that that's where, I mean, I think for creators, right? If you want to kind of, you know, find a way to stick out, that will be like the new way to do it, because like there's
absolutely.
so much that's like everybody else is doing, that's just like copying everybody else. The only way to stand out is to be unique in some way.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh my God, this is my niche. Like, this is, I am a marketer and I only talk about marketing. But it can simply just be like you being yourself, like not
Hmm.
just being like super agreeable or not being someone who just hates on everything. So you come across as a critique. Like, I
Yeah.
think the more true you are to yourself, like people can tell. And maybe that's probably why people are moving to Substack a lot more. There's so many more
Hmm.
like personal essays and opinions that aren't polished, that aren't written to like just go viral on LinkedIn as a thought piece. And I feel like I've started appreciating that more too. Also, as someone who's worked with brands a lot, I love how like they're like, oh, let's do this trend, but let's make it unique. And it's not like a unique
Yeah.
take. It just means like, let's make it branded. And I'm like,
Right.
that's
Let's use our
Let's make it about
colors.
yeah,
us.
yeah. This is just like a brand color, or let's just like put our product somewhere in there. And that's not a unique way to like do
Yeah.
a trend. It's not. It's just making the trend branded. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of like every brand trend hopping. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, when you work in social
Sure.
and you see an opportunity or like, oh my gosh, like your brain is wired to think about how does this
Yeah.
fit my
Hmm.
work?
Yeah.
And
Once you become fluent in it, it's hard to kind of turn that
it's
off. You're like,
it's
ah,
so
this
hard.
joke is too good. I need
It's
to I
too
need to get it
good.
out
I
there.
need to make this joke. But at the same time, I'm like, does anyone even care about like this
what,
brand like
what is
jo
the point? Yeah.
hopping onto this Jet2 holiday trend? They have nothing to do with travel. And it could, and I'm just like, no, it's not. We're just hopping from trend to trend. That is trend farming. You are just, that's no
Yeah.
strategy. There's no thought over there. And that's kind of also where the bots come in again, because like they
Hmm.
just see an overactive account using like the most popular sound, as we see under any viral content. It's just all bots.